Afternoon. Welcome to the Arizona State Board of Pharmacy Complaint Review Committee meeting. My name is Jeff Anderson. I am Vice President of the board, and it is currently October 8th at 1 p.m. and I call the meeting to order. May I please have a member of staff conduct roll call and collect any conflict of interest declarations?
Mr. Thorwald.
Here.
Ms. Spark.
No conflict.
Thank you. Ms. Spark.
Here, no conflicts.
Mr. Anderson.
Present, no conflict.
And Mr. Al-Nassif.
Here, my conflict is item 4K.
Perfect. All accounted for, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Gandhi. Moving right into tab 4, the consent agenda complaints. We'll start on tab 4A. This is complaint number 25-0311, respondent Corman Healthcare Pharmacy and Bailey Cooper Pharmacist. Type of complaint: the complainant alleged that the pharmacist be seen negligently allowed her 12-year-old stepdaughter to work remotely on her behalf unsupervised, which resulted in potential HIPAA violation and risk to patient safety. We'll open the floor for any discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to start, Dr. Anderson. I went back and forth for this case. Really, I didn't see any solid evidence to support, from my perspective, the violation. So I was moving forward like to dismiss. This is my opinion.
Thanks, Mr. Nassif. Any other comments before we move for a motion?
Tarek, I that's kind of where I was thinking, just not a lot of evidence to really determine if that actually occurred in violation. So I would be in support of dismiss.
All right, would somebody like to make that a motion?
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to dismiss complaint 25-0311.
I second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to tab 4B. This is complaint number 25-053, respondents Walgreens 6645, Tuabek Rensing Milanek, pharmacist, and Katie Curry, technician. So type of complaint is the pharmacy filled a controlled substance prescription under the incorrect provider. We'll open the floor for discussion.
I believe they corrected the error, and I don't see the permit holder has anything to do with this. So I'm thinking of dismissing the permit holder and advisory letter to the pharmacist and tech who was involved.
Thanks, Mr. Nassif. Any other comments or? Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Nassif. I think this is a human quality related event. I think, any reasonably prudent person looking at, our NABP decision tree could have been in the similar situation, technician or pharmacist in this scenario. So I think an advisory letter sounds appropriate for both the technician and pharmacist in dismissing against the permit holder. Would you like to make that your motion?
Yeah, this is my motion. So my motion is dismiss permit holder and advisory letter for a pharmacist and technician are involved.
Second.
Very good. And Mr. Thorwald, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4C. This is complaint number 25-0336. This is respondent East Valley Hospital. Type of complaint: a pharmacy operated without a pharmacist on duty. We'll open the floor for discussion.
I have many notes here for this case. So Mr. Jacobson, I'm not sure if he's there.
Hello,
Yeah.
Mr. Al-Nassif. I am here.
Yeah, I mean, so they really run the pharmacy without PIC, right, for a couple of weeks. Is that right?
No, not quite. The way I understand it is they did have a PIC. During the transition time, they failed to update or notify the Board of Pharmacy within the 24-hour period, and they failed to have a pharmacist on duty for the required 40 hours during 1 week during that transition time. But there was a pharmacist on duty and there was a PIC as required.
Okay.
How
And
many,
I believe they need to do it within 10 days, right? Report the PIC. Or
So the notice to the Board of Pharmacy of change in PIC is immediate, and that's defined within 24 hours.
Okay,
In their response, they mentioned they thought they had 10 days to give that notice, but that's just not the case.
okay.
how, Max, how long, how many hours did they have a pharmacist on duty?
Mr. Thornwald, from their response, I'm not sure. I could look into that, Mr. Thorwald, and get back to you on that one.
Well, I asked because, if it was 39 and a half hours versus the 40, or it was 1 hour, it makes a difference in my mind.
I agree, Mr. Thorwald, and I think I saw they submitted a schedule and it looked like they had multiple days with no pharmacist and then a couple of days with just an hour or so where a relief pharmacist came in. But I know that I saw that in there. I'm not sure which page number it was on.
So if we look at page 241 of the board book, there is a June pharmacist schedule, and the week of June 15th to June 21st is the week they identified that they did not have enough hours. And here you can see pharmacist Rowanak Manek is on the schedule for an hour or two here and there throughout the week. So it was significantly less than 40 hours.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson, did you get a sense from the administrator who responded that they would have made this correction without our prompting? Because this, the complainant, made this anonymous complaint. And it seemed like that really prompted them to secure a PIC / pharmacist coverage for 40 hours.
No, Mr. Anderson, I got the impression that they were scrambling during this time of transition. The PIC left abruptly, and they were doing their best, from what I could tell, to get coverage in that time.
Okay.
And did they conduct a control audit or inventory within 10 days?
Yes, Mr. Al-Nassif, they did do a controlled substance inventory within the required 10-day period.
And so how many days is it alleged that they operated without a pharmacist?
So based on the schedule and on their narrative response, they never operated without a pharmacist or without a PIC. They failed to notify the Board of Pharmacy of the transition of PIC, and they failed to have a pharmacist on duty for the required 40 hours for those weeks.
So, Dr. Anderson, the way I see it, I believe they did their best, right? I mean, they didn't have a PIC. They hired someone under this transition time. They failed to report within 24 hours, right? The new PIC. They did the DEA inventory required for inventory and the state requirement. So,
and if it helps, board members, this is it's a small hospital. Their average census is in the single digits.
okay.
This is a standalone ED, isn't it?
Correct. Yep. It's a standalone ED with a small inpatient. I think it's, couple bed hospital.
So thank you very much, Mr. Jacobson. So I'm totally fine with advisory letter to the permit holder.
What about, I think just throwing it out there for discussion, we generally give that $100 civil penalty for the PIC change. Is that isn't that correct?
There is,
That's what I noted just on
I'm
my
trying to
notes on.
find it here on
Oh.
the chart.
I like the advisory letter for the, 40 hours a week piece, and then the non-disciplinary civil penalty of $100 for failure to update the PIC timely.
Question, what have we done in the past in such a circumstance? Does anybody have any history, knowledge of what's been transpired in the past?
We have typically followed our guidance, Mr. Thorwald.
Okay, that's what I,
Yeah, it is like you're failing to provide notice to new pharmacists. I would still say it's 14 days, but I mean, basically changed to 24 hours. So it says here, 250, oh, is it $250? It is $100. So I agree with you, Dr. Anderson.
All right, I'll make that my motion. We'll make a motion to resolve the complaint with a $100 non-civil or non-disciplinary civil penalty for the failure to update the PIC and the prescribed time frame, and an advisory letter for failure to have a pharmacist on duty for 40 hours for that 1 week.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to tab 4D, this is complaint number 25-0343. This is respondents Camille Ramos, pharmacist and pharmacist in charge, Thomas Kim, pharmacist, and CVS pharmacy number 5814. Type of complaint: a pharmacy had consistently charged full price for medication that should be covered under insurance, and the pharmacist refused to provide his name and/or license when asked. We'll open this up for discussion.
I would just like, I mean, for not providing the name, this is a separate issue. We can discuss it. But first, I'd like to discuss about insurance and billing. I believe this goes under customer service or billing more than anything else. So not providing their name or license number, that's what I'd like to discuss with other board members.
Yeah,
And-
I agree. I see the insurance piece is largely a customer service concern. My concern was the not giving the name to the patient.
I concur. Yeah, I think that our rules are pretty clear, and that pharmacists have to wear name badges, document their identity on prescriptions, and maintain their license in public for the public review. I don't think that there's any language specifically saying that they have to verbally give a license number. I'm really curious on Mr. Jacobson. Is there any rule that you're aware of that mandates them to verbally share this information, or is just having it available for review at the pharmacy sufficient per our rules, or what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, so just going off the language in the citation, there is a statute and a rule. So if we look at statute 1933, it says in the license shall be maintained in the practice site for inspection by the board or its designees or review by the public. And then in rule R423-202, very similarly, it says for inspection by the board or designee or review by the public. That's the guidance we have to go off of.
So pharmacist is required to provide their license if the public asks for it.
That's the way I understand
Yeah.
it. Yes, sir.
I understood it a little differently. I understood that it would be on display and anybody could go look at it. But
Yeah.
the pharmacist was not obliged to tell them it was over on the wall over there.
And the board staff can correct me here. I believe, I know like some pharmacists hesitate to show their license because it has their own address, and that's sometimes cause an issue for staff to show their license to public.
That's correct. Dr. Al-Nassif, there used to be a requirement to have the license posted for basically viewing by the public. That requirement was removed, and the requirement now is to have the license maintained at the practice site and again available for review by the public.
If it's available for review by the public, then the person should have provided the information. So
Yeah, and as it was stated, there's a growing concern of having the address on the license when they have the public view it. There's nothing that prohibits them from blocking off their address, using a little sticker or something of that nature, but it is still a requirement.
I can provide some insight if you want.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, we've had several cases. If we go back many years, even before many of you board members were on the board. Let's say someone calls in and wants to know your license number. The pharmacist isn't required to give that over the phone because as Max pointed out, the rule doesn't, or the statute doesn't indicate that. So we haven't held the pharmacist to that, but we've had cases where the patient asked them to see their license or ask them for their license when they're physically in the store where the license should be ready for inspection. And we have cited them for that and brought it before the board.
Okay, that's very useful.
question online, if you go online to look up a pharmacist to see if they're licensed, does that also show their address?
No.
no, it does not.
So it was the only time the complainant asked over the phone? Or had they, I don't remember.
That's my understanding. He was over the phone and spoke to the pharmacy manager as well. Over the phone.
I believe in the initial complaint, there was a reference when he was, the complainant was in person.
Okay.
Yeah, to Mr. Nassif's original comment that this is just this case began as a customer service concern, but really escalated due to the fact that the pharmacist refused to provide his name. And then the PIC in the response asserted that once a prescription is transferred, the patient's no longer under their care and is no longer required to disclose to non-patients. This categorical refusal just elevates what should have just been a customer service concern into a discussion today.
However, I would throw out that what proof do we have that he really didn't give the name, and that was a simple excuse for somebody because they couldn't find something else to complain about?
So for that one, Dr. Thorwald, in the narrative responses provided by the pharmacist and the pharmacy manager, they do say that they did not provide the license.
Okay.
I think he says that he provided his first name and he was the only pharmacist there by the name of Thomas, but he did not provide his full name or his license number.
Did he say why?
And people hesitate to give their names because they're maybe afraid of complaints, right? And that would lead to complaint to start. So I mean, obviously, it's a violation of requirement. They should have give their name and at least license number, and then I mean something to identify them as a pharmacist. And I agree with you, Dr. Anderson. The PIC is not in the complaint here, but this is not the right perspective. That no longer under our care, and any public member can ask for pharmacist information. So, but this is not the case before us. So it is a lot of what. I mean, I'm fine with advisory letter for this situation, and I'll make it my motion unless somebody else has any other opinion.
Mr. Nassif, is that advisory letter to all the respondents, including?
For the PIC is listed there. Yeah, I mean, for both pharmacists and dismiss the permit holder.
Any further discussion or a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4E, this is complaint number 25-0426, respondents Walgreens number 2372 and Diana Saldamando, pharmacist in charge. Type of complaint, the pharmacy dispensed the incorrect quantity of a prescription. We'll open the floor for discussion.
I mean, I
Oh.
do see this as an error. So there was an incorrect quantity dispensed. The other concern, I had, I didn't, I guess is just the inventory checking and how they investigated what the complainant was stating as far as not receiving enough. They initially looked at the computer system and it matched, but then there was really no follow-up to investigate what occurred. That was one of the concerns that I had about this.
Totally tracking with you, Dr. Spark. There was really no significant effort appeared to be made by to confirm or deny this patient's complaint that they were shorted 30 tablets until the compliance officer physically went to that pharmacy to audit the quantities on, I think it was August 5th, and the audit confirmed that the patient was correct. The error itself, a human error, but the follow-up to your point, Dr. Spark, is to me it was poor, and dismissing her concern unnecessarily created this entire complaint instead of just listening to your patient and validating that your counts are accurate and actually doing that audit instead of having our compliance officer go out there to do this audit. So
board members, if I may, really quickly.
sure.
Ben Castaneda, compliance officer. So this occurred on a day, the initial error occurred on the day the PIC was there. She called the next day to report the shortage, but the PIC wasn't working. You are correct in stating that the pharmacist that dealt with her looked at the computer records, looked at the on-hand quantities, said they matched. When I got there the morning of 8/5, there were reports that were printed, but the PIC had not had a chance to look into them yet. She came back to work on Monday the 4th, and I went in on Tuesday the 5th. So she had reports that were printed, she just hadn't had a chance to dig into them yet.
And it was ultimately corrected, right? Did the patient receive the?
Well, at the time of the error, at the time that I wrote the report, the pharmacy manager, the PIC, did fill an extra 30 for her and had put them aside, but she had not been able to talk to the patient yet, so she hadn't picked up the shorted medication yet.
Okay, there is a follow-up by the PIC, but she was off for, next day, right? So she couldn't take care of it till she came back. So
Yeah,
there's a follow-up.
that's what the PIC stated to me. And like I said, she hadn't had a chance to dig into the reports that the pharmacist on duty ran when I got there to investigate.
So Mrs. Spark, like we go to the first, yeah, I mean, there's an error, we all agree, there's quantity
Yeah.
error. I mean, usually we go with the standard of 3 hours, non-disciplinary for patient safety or error prevention. That's our standard. And
That's
I
your
make
motion.
a motion and then dismiss the permit holder.
Mr. Nassif, is that your motion?
Yeah, this is my motion.
All right. Any further?
Second,
All right, first and the second, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4F. This is complaint number 25-0443. Respondent is Beth Sharon, technician. Type of complaint, a licensee violated an order for a non-disciplinary civil penalty. We'll open the floor for discussion. I guess my question, if Ms. Mitchell is available, have we received any communication from this technician?
No, we have not.
Do we usually go for hearing for those cases, not responding to our staff? Or not?
My question was, it's non-disciplinary. What would be the option to move forward with this? Would it be to move to consent? Is that something that we could do?
Typically because she has failed to comply with the order, even though it was non-disciplinary, it's still an order issued by the board. So that's a violation. And in similar cases, the board has moved that to formal hearing. And she's non-responsive to the board, and staff may indicate that she's unable to be regulated.
And Ms. Galvin, correct me if I'm wrong, but one moment, let me mute my computer. The order itself indicates that failure to comply with the order moves it to hearing. So this is just a formality, is it not, with the board?
A required formality, yes.
Yes.
It is very unfortunate, all over 1 hour of CE for this technician. Unbelievable. Is there a motion? Or further discussion?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Would that motion include the acceptance of a voluntary surrender if we were able to secure that?
Yes, I will include to my motion.
Has
So,
anybody tried to call her?
I have not attempted to call her. I don't know if someone did when they did her CE audit. That could have occurred.
I asked that only because there could have been a move or something changed. Yes, they're supposed to submit something and that would be another fine, but at the same time, if they have and they're still available by phone, it seems like that we should take that action.
Her certified mail was returned. Her regular mail was not. Her email did not bounce back. I can certainly attempt to call her between now and the board meeting if you'd like.
You want to table it to the board meeting? I mean, do you usually reach out to the employer since they list their employer there, or we don't do that usually?
We don't reach out to the employer just because the employment history in the file isn't exactly accurate.
I would propose we stick with the recommendation. The board doesn't have to accept the recommendation in an event we are able to reach her and come to an agreement of some sort.
All right, so Mr. Nassif, did you make a motion?
Yeah, I move for, my motion was for hearing
Okay,
and accept surrender voluntarily if she agreed to. with our-
Second,
Any further discussion?
Mr. President, this is Dennis Wagoner. I did the CE audit and I did attempt to, I did place a phone call and left a voicemail on January 30th that was not returned.
I think that's very generous that we're doing all of this and we're trying to work with her and it's unfortunate. All right, we've got a motion for a first and a second. Thank you, Mr. Wagner, for the additional information. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4G, this is 25-0085, respondent CVS Pharmacy number 5038. Jeffrey Wolfgang, pharmacist, Shannon King Bernius, pharmacist, and Monique Mendez, pharmacist. Type of complaint, pharmacy continued to dispense a patient's former medication after her medical provider issued a new order with revised directions. And we'll open the floor for discussion.
It's an interesting case. I mean, I went back and forth with this for 3-4 days just to see a different way. So, and I like to hear from Dr. Gandhi or any compliance officer. Can pharmacists in Riedel discontinue a treatment without a doctor order or prescription? I mean, this is a very common question from like community pharmacists.
Mr. Nassif, that's a good question. I mean, I wrestled with that. I didn't need a haircut for this investigation because I was pulling my hair out. It took a while to come up with the timeline on how it happened and the order of all the people involved. But in a nutshell, you're damned if you do, or you're damned if you don't discontinue one that might have been replaced for several reasons. Number one, the patient may still want it to be open for whatever reason. In this case, it appeared in looking at the patient profile, the doctor would toggle between different doses. More than likely, there was some type of titration being performed, and based upon the readings on the next patient's visit, the doctor would sometimes adjust the medication directions.
Correct.
Unless there's some order, I would think a pharmacist discontinuing medications would probably, without some type of discussion with the doctor or the patient, would be inappropriate. And therein lies the problem. How do you manage that in a busy pharmacy? How does that occur? Would you even get a response if you reached out for that type of question? It's pretty common in pharmacies that are servicing long-term care patients or nursing home patients where doses are very short and brief and small, and orders are discontinued after a stipulated period of time. But in retail, it's not very common unless there's express directions given.
I 100% agree with you. And that's what I'm trying to think through this case. Because especially if you have two different providers, they say patient went to urgent care, they give them the dose, and then they have a different dose in the file. The PCP wants them to continue the old one. It's hard for community pharmacists to decide what to do. Of course, we require them to communicate with patients to address this if they have several prescriptions under different doses or different directions. As you mentioned, we don't know when the patient decides to go to the old dose. I mean, as agreed with the provider. I mean, if it's the provider discontinue it in the direction, like some of them, they say, please discontinue, for example, 10 milligram or the twice a day dose, I will see this is a clear violation here.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I can definitely see how this can happen if there's not clear indication on the prescription to discontinue. It's very difficult to determine, and I can see where you would have something that still remains active. And then just in reading, I think it's the pharmacy manager's response, it seems like it's unclear how that request even came in. It could have been from the patient or it could have been, it was unclear if it was on an auto refill or anything like that. It was unclear how the request came in. So, there's many different ways to fill a prescription now, whether it's digital engagement or phone. And so it's just unclear. So I could definitely see how this could happen.
It's very similar to this permit holder. I think the case we're having, at the full board meeting next week. I remember the ciprofloxacin, where it allowed this outdated prescription that was still current or still a valid prescription to resurface and be dispensed. And this is where I do believe that to err is to human, or to be human is we're going to have errors. And I think system responsive and system safeguards are important. And I think from a just culture perspective, I'd love for CVS to be able to help their pharmacists figure this out, because it's not going away.
To me, the doctor originally, if there's going to be going back and forth, the doctor should tell the pharmacist, or the patient should take on at least some responsibility and know from what the doctor's told them. If you don't have that information, do you give them both prescriptions? It doesn't necessarily seem like the pharmacist's fault. It seems like there's other parties in here that should have responsibility too for letting them know what to do.
So can I speak on, of course, I don't know what the permit holder, what their system, but I'm aware of like most of the system, when you override DUR, it will never show up again unless there is another DUR going there. Otherwise, our staff pharmacists will be fatigued, like many flagging and many DUR coming. So, and that's as Dr. Anderson said, we're gonna hear from the permit holder like next board meeting, I believe so. But let's say like the DUR is shown and then the pharmacist, can they discontinue or not? I mean, there is nothing say they can or they cannot, but everything in retail has to be by doctor order or prescription or direction. So it would be very beneficial for pharmacists to talk to the patient, say, okay, this is a new dose. Yes, it's a new dose. Okay, are you okay to discontinue or something like this? You know what I mean? I cannot make up new rules here. But for this case, specifically for this case, I see that can happen in the retail. I don't underestimate the patient's complaint here or concern. So, but we have similar cases happening, and we're gonna hear from the permit holder next meeting. So for this case, I would be okay with advisory letter for or listed pharmacist, and dismiss the permit holder for this one because we're gonna hear from them for another case.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nassif. Do we have a second?
Would you repeat that
Second.
one more time? Sorry, I
Advisory letter for pharmacists,
The three of them?
the three of them, advisory letter, and dismiss the permit holder.
And I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
I
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4H, this is complaint number 25-0424, respondent CVS number 9225, Surith Reyes, pharmacist, and Senia Ali, pharmacist intern. Type of complaint: a prescriber stated that the pharmacist intern refused to fill a prescription without a valid reason. And we'll open the floor for discussion. I'll be happy to start. This case and my notes that I wrote involves a complaint submitted by a provider about a patient who came into this CVS with a new prescription for a higher dose of Adderall than what he was taking. The intern on duty refused to fill it because he had capsules remaining of the lower strength and then sent the patient away. The patient then contacted their doctor asking for guidance on what to do. And that provider called the pharmacy. In their complaint, the provider seems to have a thought that they were speaking to the pharmacist in the way that they wrote the complaint, which was, in this case, I believe, this graduate intern. And while that, raises a minor concern for me about how the intern may have represented himself on the phone, I think that the core issue here is the intern's conduct. My thoughts are that the intern really failed to exercise appropriate due diligence. He really cited opinions that weren't based on fact or evidence-based and really didn't escalate the issue to his preceptor, and also made claims about exercising corresponding responsibility that, again, weren't supported by the facts. So also concerning in this is the preceptor's lack of oversight of this intern, which seemed to go a little rogue, and allowed this intern to act and behave the way he did. So I'm curious on others' thoughts. If others saw it the same way, or do you have a different perspective?
I think that's completely correct in my mind as well.
Yeah, I agree. The having oversight of the intern, and I know they ultimately took this as a learning opportunity, and there was some coaching and there's some corrective action, if you will, as far as like when's appropriate to. But that's my concern. I think I don't know. It's an interesting one.
So when I read this case, it's an intern, right? The intern learning. The intern should have not answered, if not sure, regardless any clinical answer or law answer, right? So the intern totally missed it, right? And made their own rules, right? And give the wrong answer. Now the pharmacist or preceptor or pharmacist, I don't know if they can be 24/7 or like keep listening. They might miss something the intern says, like unintentionally. And what I was thinking is, I really don't see the pharmacist be like hold accountable on this. That's my perspective. There is no medication error. It is basically just like lack of knowledge of the law or what they can do, what they cannot do.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's the pharmacist that's on duty needs to have oversight of whomever is working, whether it be an intern, technician. You don't hear everything. You would like to, but you don't hear everything. And I think, yeah, so I agree with you for sure on that.
And for the intern, I would just say the intern, the way I look at it, students learning, I'm sure she learned now. And if she doesn't have an answer, she needs to ask a preceptor there or pharmacist on duty or whoever she can ask, or look online to see the right answer before she give this false information. I'm glad there is no errors. And the fact that she is an intern and it's a learning path. So I was thinking about advisory letter for the intern and dismiss everyone else listed there. And I would like to make this motion unless somebody else has different opinion.
I'd be interested if Mr. Carlo Puti had an additional insight on this? Because I wrote down graduate intern. I got the impression that this intern was not a student, that they had finished and they were just. And I don't know where
I
I
read
got
that. I read that somewhere. I think they had indicated that they were a graduate intern in.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, this is Ram Kalupudi, Compliance Officer with the board. Yes, she is a graduate intern. That's what my understanding is from the letter that she sent. It says, my name is Sania Ali, and I am a graduate intern here at CVS. That's on page 467 in her statement. And she erroneously believed adding both drugs would be overdosing. And she thought, as you mentioned, the patient had to consume all remaining capsules before getting the new strength. Those are all her beliefs. Yeah, I'm sure that she learned her lesson.
Yeah. So I'm glad that happened without causing any medication error. I know there's a delay of care. I know like that happened, and the pharmacist was able to fix the issue and get the medication to their patient. But it's still like, I mean, to me, is the intern, right? And she should have spoke with the pharmacist before she makes this decision. But I don't see it's severe enough to put any discipline or even non-discipline action against her license. And so that's why I maintain my opinion about advisory letter for intern.
Yeah, I agree. I am good with an advisory letter for the intern. I was just thinking more of the pharmacist, but again, what I mentioned earlier, I'm glad that they took the opportunity to help educate their intern and fix it. Obviously, it wasn't. So I would be okay with a dismiss on the pharmacist and advisory letter for the intern.
I'd be fine with that as well.
I'm not a fan of that, but I'm only one here. I think that the pharmacist intern needs some education in this case. I think we've issued CE for less. And to the point that they need education on what corresponding responsibility means, what therapeutic duplication is, patient communication skills. They need a lot of additional education, and I think that we'd be potentially missing an opportunity to drive that home with this intern with just an advisory letter. But we have a first and a second on the floor.
What kind of CE would you suggest?
At least 3 hours in pharmacy law. I think patient communication would be helpful too.
I'd be okay with that.
I mean, but this is we're talking about non-disciplinary, right? I would still cannot show in the record. I'm not trying to underestimate the situation, but I believe it is not just, this is misspoken, but it is delay care. The pharmacist took care of it. It's just like lack of knowledge of DEA rules and state rules, right?
They're also practicing. They're to me. I mean, they're attempting to practice pharmacy when they're not licensed to do that yet. They're kind of acting like a pharmacist when they're not licensed to do that.
But they did not pass the law exam yet. So we don't know if, I mean, this is part of becoming a pharmacist, that you need to pass a law exam, which includes some federal and state rules.
Mr. Alnasi, if I may, this is Jennifer. She actually does have an application in for a pharmacist license, and it is pending approval. So I believe she might have actually passed the NPJE.
Great. So now hopefully she'll be ready. Thank you. So we'll not make those mistakes. And then I mean, Dr. Anderson, there is some pharmacists, I mean, if they don't feel, let's say a pharmacist say, okay, I don't feel okay to fill this prescription now, right? Like they just had clinical judgment or whatever reason. Is it something we have to act on? let's say like she says, okay, I don't want to fill it now.
But she's not a pharmacist and she's wrong.
Okay, exactly.
So,
But there is some there is some of like judgment or say poor judgment, which she had a poor judgment, but is due to lack of knowledge. And I don't see any violation here. I mean, that we hold people accountable on violation. I mean, the violation, she didn't have information, the right information for law. But some company, they have their own rules. They don't even like, they are more strict than the law themselves. And then, right?
Yeah, I think her intentions are, she may have been, for lack of a better description, I think she may have been overly cautious or even hiding behind an inappropriate corresponding responsibility use
Correct,
of
yeah.
that.
correct.
So I think I think it's an education opportunity. And hopefully she has learned that through all of this. So I mean, I could go either way with an advisory letter or non-disciplinary CE. She just passed, sounds like maybe perhaps passed the law exam. So I could go either way, but I don't, beyond that, I think it's resolved with those two options. So I could go either way. It's having CE there is absolutely nothing wrong with more education. So
It is a fact to start your new career as a pharmacist with a record of non-discipline. It's still in the record, right? And advisory letter is in the record. But how gonna help her to be a better pharmacist? I mean, that's a question. And I mean, like, is gonna help her, or is gonna make her like more worried or like rigid to in future, right? I mean, the purpose of this is make sure this person is safe to practice. And that's how I look at any violations or any cases. Is this person safe to practice or not? Right? I'm sure now. I don't know if she's hearing us now. I'm sure she learned her lesson, right? Not to give a random answer just to get away from doing something. And that's why I say, like, give her like 3 hours of CE in law or something like this is going to help. If it will help her, I'm totally with it. But I don't see this is more than just giving her a hard time.
I think Mr. Anderson has convinced me that some CE would be appropriate,
Okay.
non-disciplinary.
So I will resend my motion, and if someone else want to make a motion, that's totally fine. Okay. So I resend my motion.
Dr. Spark, do you rescind your second?
I rescind my second.
All right, do we have a new motion for consideration? All right, I'll be happy to make that my motion, a non-disciplinary CE of 3 hours for the pharmacy law for the pharmacist intern, an advisory letter to the pharmacist and dismiss against the permit holder. And that would be my motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Mr. Anderson, I'm sorry to interrupt. If it's possible, staff would like to go back to 4E 250426 just to make a comment.
Okay.
Thank you, board members. Ben Castaneda, compliance officer. Just want to clarify for the record, I believe I misspoke when you asked about if there was any other research that was done, and I said the pharmacist on duty that day ran the reports. I misspoke there. It was actually the pharmacist in charge when she came in on the 4th was the one who ran those reports that day.
Thank you, Mr. Castaneda. Does that impact any board members' prior decision-making process?
So she followed up the same day, and she came to pharmacy and she ran the report. So what was
No. So when the complainant called the pharmacy, It was the day the pharmacist in charge was off duty. The pharmacist on duty that day looked at the computer records, looked at the on hands, told the complainant that there was no error, the numbers matched. I stated on the record that the pharmacist on duty, the day that he spoke to the complainant, was the one who ran the reports, but the reports were not ran until the pharmacist in charge came back on the 4th. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Does that impact anybody's decision making that we need to go back to this complaint? All right, hearing none, we'll move forward. Thank you.
Dr. Anderson, I'd just like to bring back, I don't know if I'm allowed to, Mrs. Galvin, to a case, because it's just, I kept thinking about it, about the case for, let me look at it here. 4G. Is that okay, Mrs. Galvin, to go back to it to revisit? Okay.
You may.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking about it because we don't want to like get a standard here, like a new standard in our community pharmacy, because I believe it's a doctor responsibility to really to tell pharmacists what to do. And the fact like we don't know how the refill or the prescription refill requested could be by patients themselves or by IVR or something happened. So I don't know if you're okay, guys, to dismiss. I mean, I will dismiss pharmacists as well with the permit holder for this case.
So, Ms. Galvin, the recommendation, if I recall correctly, on this complaint was for advisory letters for all the pharmacist parties and to dismiss against the permit. And that was.
Yes,
that
that's what I have.
So the motion here would be to rescind that and to then move forward with a dismissal.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
if there's appetite for that. So whoever, I think Mr. El Nassif, you made the motion for the
Yeah.
advisory letters to all 3 pharmacists with Ms. Sparks seconding that. Are you willing to withdraw that, rescind that motion and vote?
Yes. I move to rescind my motion for case 4G.
I'll rescind my second.
And then I move, yeah, and then I move.
So you'd
ahead.
have to vote on that rescission.
Okay.
All right, so I liked the advisory letters. I thought it helped, bring our concern that the prospective DUR understanding that these patients were on new regimens, and then going back to an older regimen without any sort of indication that was appropriate. They went ahead and dispensed it anyways. I thought the advisory letters were appropriate in that matter. And so we have a motion to, this is the first time this has happened to me, Ms. Galvin. So what do we do now? We've got a motion to.
So a motion to rescind was made, and now you vote on whether to rescind the motion issuing advisory letters.
I liked what we did already, so.
Yeah. So I think we're both on the.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Thorwald and I are tracking the same way. I'm not to speak for Mr. Thorwald, but so we're on the fence here, Mr. Nassif. So I mean, we could always have this pulled at the full board meeting for discussion.
Exactly.
Okay.
If we vote, I'm gonna vote nay, so.
Right.
All right. So yeah. So we'll see if, yeah, thank you very much. I'm just like concerning about, like also from my perspective, providers, they keep prescribing like, and it's hard to track. It is very hard to track. Just to be more realistic, like I'd really like to bring this one to the medical board as well, like, you know what I mean? Because we holding pharmacists accountable on this. An advisory letter for pharmacists is a big deal. It's not like just, it is big deal for a lot of pharmacists. And I just like to see doctors, I know that doctors, I'm not going to underestimate what they do. They do their best to help our community and patients, but it's something very little change from provider side can help and save lives here, right? You know, like just telling the pharmacist discontinue this. The same thing when they do in the hospital. They discontinue old regimen and they initiate a new one. So if they do the
Well,
same
oftentimes they
practice
don't.
with community, that will be very helpful. Otherwise, we're gonna keep saying like those, you know what I mean, like cases. And sending advisory letter, I know there's least harm for pharmacists, but I believe as a board member, I mean, we need to bring this concern to maybe medical board as well, right? Because I believe this is a shared responsibility, including patients. I mean, this is like patients, pharmacists, and providers, this share responsibility on this. I just like comment, I like to say it. And then, and I would like to hear from other board members in the full board meeting next week.
Very good. So you will call for that to be pulled for a full board review?
Maybe
Or-
I will, yeah, maybe we can discuss it more.
Yeah, we'll flag it as well.
All right, thank you.
We do still have a motion on the floor, Mr. Anderson, and that is to rescind the previous motion issuing these advisory letters. I would ask that we either take a vote on that motion or that motion is rescinded.
So we will move forward with a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, motion fails. So this will be pulled for full board review next week. Thank you for the discussion. Moving on to tab 4I. This is complaint number 25-0389. Respondent CVS Pharmacy number 10150. Everett Al-Barzanji, pharmacist. Kasania Liana Pasurar, pharmacy technician. And Fabia Jabbar Surti, pharmacy technician trainee. Type of complaint, the complainant, who was the patient, stated that the pharmacy made an unauthorized change to her prescription without her or the prescriber's approval to satisfy insurance requirements. We'll open the floor for discussion.
My notes here, I like to hear other board member. That's my notes here for this case. I don't know if this is like misbilling or it's false or billing or fraud. I don't see it this way. I know. I mean, I see people just follow the insurance coverage. It is, I don't want to say common. It is known, right? Oh, we cover 30 tablets a month, so they bill 30 tablets. I believe what for a month instead of 60. But what they failed here is really communicating with the patient.
Yeah, and there,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Ms. Barr.
No, I mean, yeah, that's probably what happened is they were just following what the insurance was trying to get something to go through. I mean, I don't think that there was a dispensing error with this. It was just wasn't it a reduced quantity that they didn't get? Or it was a change in the day's supply. Yeah, that's where I am with it. It's
Yeah,
I was interested to hear what the committee had to say.
That's my notes. Yeah, here.
I think it's a patient communication concern.
It's a patient
If they
communication.
wanted to just talk to their patient saying the insurance limits the day supply for this drug to this,
Mhm.
and I can only dispense this amount, we wouldn't be here if they talked to their patient.
I
It's
agree.
it's like a customer service,
Right.
basic customer service.
I
So,
agree completely.
Mr. Chair, this is Ram Kavapuri, Compliance Officer. Can I add my comments?
Please do.
Yeah, so the pharmacy actually are trying to bill the insurance incorrectly, because if you dispense 15 tablets for 30 days, that's not what the doctor prescribed. Doctor prescribed 1 tablet per day. Theoretically, this has to be started at a lower dose for a naive patient, but it was prescribed at a slightly higher dose. That could be the reason why the insurance was requesting a prior auth. So they did not follow the CVS policy. They were trying to help the patient by giving the prescription, processing the prescription the way the insurance wanted, but fudged the day supply to make it go through the insurance. So that's false billing. If the insurance audits this claim, they'll take the money back because it's not accurate billing of the prescription. That is one aspect. And the second thing I wanted to add is Kasina Liana Basurar, she went on a long-term leave, so I didn't get her a statement. And that is one thing that I wanted to bring up to the board.
Yeah, so, but all of this, like billing, the pharmacist not involved. They don't know if the technician called the insurance, right? They don't know if it's solo technician duty or task.
So pharmacist either did not catch it, or in his statement, he said that he was trying to help the patient, how the insurance wanted the claim to go through. That's how they fudged it. But it's actually inaccurate billing. It might violate insurance contracts, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to Dr. Anderson's point is about communication. I don't think the pharmacist intentionally did that as a fraud just to get a claim. It is, I believe, more likely is to get it covered and give it to patients. They did not. I agree with the patient that they should have talked to her, explained to her, and that's the patient's decision if can wait to get the insurance fixed or prior authorization goes through, or talk to a provider to change a dose, something, but they totally missed it. They did not communicate neither with provider nor with patient. And I believe that's what the mistake they did. Now, the pharmacist did not catch it, the technician, but I don't know which technician, because they say like 2 technicians, but there's only 1 initial there. Is that right?
You are correct. The CVS system can't track which technician actually changed the day supply for the claim to go through. And they don't remember what happened with the prescription in their response. Fabiha Jabbar, technician trainee, stated that she don't recall what happened. And yeah, your findings are correct, what you're saying.
So it's really, for me, I would struggle to hold both technicians if I don't know who did it and who, you know what I mean? Like, just because their name listed there.
Yeah, another thing is CVS policy requires whenever there is a change, they have to inform the prescriber, preferably the patient as well, without fudging the prescription to go through the insurance.
Would a conference be helpful?
I mean, we have conference with them next week. I don't know if you add this, different group. I believe conference will be helpful, but to see from there.
Is there a requirement, Mr. Carlapudi, for that change of day supply to be identifiable by which licensee? You alluded that it wasn't discoverable in their reports. Is there a requirement that it must be?
Just to see who actually changed the day supply, to point out between these 2 technicians. They said they can't distinguish who did it.
Is that day supply face up to the pharmacist for them to understand that they're dispensing 15 tablets for a 30-day supply? Is that face up to them, or do they just see that they're dispensing 15 tablets?
Yes, it shows in data entry verification. It should show quantity, day supply. One of the significant things, because insurance billing take-backs, or clawbacks happen because of errors in prescription processing.
What are folks thinking on a motion?
So given the fact I totally agree with the patient's concern, but she got surprised that, you know, about insurance problem, or maybe she ran out of medication sooner that the insurance was billed. So, and also like, so I know like I'm sorry, the permit holder has nothing to do with that. It is totally billing issue. I would move like for advisory letter for pharmacist and 2 technicians listed.
We have a second or any further comments, discussion?
Mrs. Park has different idea, right?
No, yeah, no, I'm good with I guess, an advisory letter. Yeah, they clearly didn't follow CVS's policy. So I would agree with that. I'll second your motion.
All right, any further discussion? We've got an advisory letter for all licensees dismissed against the permit.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4J, this is complaint number 25-072. I'm sorry, 0272. Respondents are Jose Valdovinos, Stephanie O's, and Walgreen 12739. Customer received another customer's prescription in their order. We'll open the floor for discussion.
Is it the case that the pharmacy did not do nothing wrong, that he spoke with the patient on the drive-through window? Is that right? Let me make sure. And
Yeah, the way I read this is there was a question. It sounded like there was a question. The patient had called in about the prescription. Maybe that prescription had been set off to the side, the one that got released incorrectly to the wrong patient. The pharmacist was counseling, and then the technician was there to finish the transaction and basically gathered up all the prescriptions, and that included the one that was for the wrong patient. This is the way I read that.
so I believe it's solely like technician error. It's a mispackaging or misdispensing happened on the window by the technician, and that's why I moved to dismiss permit holder, pharmacist, and 3 hours non-disciplinary action for technician on error prevention and patient safety. And this
One
is
additional thought, and maybe Mr. Wagner, if he could unmute and help me with this. So do you know how TV responded when the pharmacy confronted her about the disposition of the morphine?
No, I don't have any additional information other than it was not returned.
And then also, as a follow-up, so there's 90 tabs of morphine, and why was the DEA not notified within 1 business day? And it seemed like was the board not notified directly by the permit holder of this loss either? Or were they only notified through this consumer complaint? How did that happen?
I don't know if board staff, please correct me here. It is the DEA rules says for unjustified loss or any theft.
Unknown loss or theft.
Unknown loss. If you can justify it, I know what happened is not required because you know what's happened.
So 90 tablets of morphine went to the wrong patient. They're not returning it. That's okay without notifying the DEA?
It's not okay to me. It's not okay to me, but I believe that's how the DEA rules read. I don't know if I'm wrong.
Mr. Wagner, can you Can you comment on that statement?
I would need to research that further.
Because they submitted a DEA 106. So that's what I'm kind of asking about here is like, the event occurred on May 14th. The complaint submitted to this board was on May 15th. The compliance officer visited on May 22nd. And the DEA form 106 that was in this packet was not filled until, or filed until June 12th. So they knew that they had a duty to report the loss because it was sold to the wrong patient. And they didn't do it until June 12th. And that was my concern is like, why did it take so long to notify the DEA and the other parties like DPS and us? Why did this?
Now, when they submit the 106, they should notify the state board and the Department of Public Safety within 10 days of 106 submission. Now, the fact of submitting 106 or not, I would like to read about this because the DEA rule says for unknown loss.
I don't know if there's a great way to classify that loss because it's an error.
Is an error, loss.
It's not a package discrepancy. It's not a theft. It's not, I'm trying to remember the other options, but there really isn't an option to indicate or to notify the DEA that we made an error and this patient didn't return it.
But it clearly didn't go to the intended patient. It went to.
No,
They
yeah,
know
it did
who
not.
They know who it went to. And this patient didn't offer to return it and they're making phone calls to the correct patient. So I'm concerned of this timeline of 90 morphine went out into the public and it shouldn't have, or went to this person who had no authorized authority to have this morphine, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing to notify authorities. That was my concern. And obviously they acknowledge that they have to notify the DEA because they're submitting a DEA 106 in June. But the event occurred on May 14th, and that to me is not timely.
I would have to see the DEA regs on that to make a proper decision because it could go either way depending on what those regs say as far as I'm concerned.
Is there a compliance officer that can speak on that?
I mean, go ahead. Oh, Steve is here.
Yeah, it's compliance officer Hyber. Firms are all over the place on this. It's a very good question. Do you report misfills? Because you know where it is. It's not out in the wild. But the question I would pose is, let's say you were filling a prescription for a very large quantity. This is just a hypothetical, but let's say you were filling it for a valid prescription for 1,000 tablets. Would you not report that as you knew somebody had it? I think you would. I think you would. And many firms do report when they have errors, but an equal number, if not more, don't report errors. They keep the documentation of the error when it's a control. I'm talking about not non-controls, obviously. But I think the law is silent. I think we'd be hard pressed to get anyone from the DEA to give us an opinion, because that's pretty difficult to get on anything from one individual. So I would just say it would be up to the board to determine whether it was something that should have been reported in a more timely fashion. Because obviously, at some point, their organization said, hey, we better report this.
Right.
And I do know, I can speak from my own experience, that when we had situations where we knew a patient had it, and we tried to get it back and they wouldn't, and it was a control, and we knew it wasn't their medication. You know, in some of those cases, it wasn't our fault, it was a delivery problem. Then we would tell them we're going to report it to the DEA. Because remember, the authorities do have the authority to go over there and knock on their door and retrieve it. So at least you would give them that opportunity if they wanted to.
Right, because what did TB do with this morphine that was not prescribed to them?
Yeah.
And by this pharmacy not reporting it to DPS and following what they're supposed to be doing, I mean, in transit missed deliveries are reported to the board and to the
Mhm.
DEA when they don't arrive with the correct patient.
Yes,
So
yes.
Yep.
Yep, when
That
people
is
call
true.
for a replacement, they report those initial losses on 106. You're right.
Mhm.
So I agree with Steve. I mean, like if there's misfilling for a big quantity, I believe it's better to report it and retrieve the medication to make for public safety, right? But that the rules, I don't want to say it's silent there or not silent, but it says for unjustified or unknown loss, right? And this is when they leave it, I believe, for public or for a pharmacy to act. I don't know, but I mean, it's hard to answer.
Question, does Arizona have any different views, rules, statutes that clarify that where DEA is mute on the point? I ask that because if DEA is mute on the point and Arizona is mute on the point, it doesn't matter what our opinion is. There is nothing that's requirement to report it.
Arizona requires us to report to the Department of Public Safety.
Yes,
and
but
the board. And
if this seems to be one of those zones that there's not clarity to it, and if you can and if something isn't clear, it's up to the individual to interpret it, unless we have interpretation from either the feds or we have our own interpretation from statutes into rules. It's not, we're not judging this on our opinion.
Correct.
We're judging it upon the statutes and the rules that we have here in Arizona and that EPA has. And if they're not clear, we don't have a basis for our decision.
Absolutely. I agree. And I know if DEA can comment on this, I mean, I hope we, like our staff can reach out to DEA to help or assist. I don't think they will, but because the rules is very clear from their end. And I believe Arizona follow the DEA. We have rules about when you submit 106 form, you need to notify state board and Department of Public Safety. That's the Arizona rules now, but for submitting the 106, we follow the DEA.
Not currently. I think right now we have a 10-day requirement to file a DA 106 with the Board of Pharmacy, and then they can amend it in the future.
Okay,
But I believe the DA changed. So we're working on mirroring our language with the DEA.
great.
The DA's language currently is you notify them within 1 day, notification within 1 day, 1 business day. And then you have 45 days to file the DA 106. And that was just recently changed. So it looks like in this situation, they potentially met the 45-day requirement to notify, to fill out the DA 106 and submit it to the DEA, but I don't know if they fulfilled the 1 day requirement to notify the DEA. But our requirement still holds at 10 days to submit a DA 106.
I would think a letter to the DEA for clarification on this point,
But,
an opinion letter would be necessary.
But yeah, but Dr. Gandhi, there's any rules about the amount, the lost amount, or like amount of medication should be reported?
We don't have the definition of significant amount, nor does DEA have a definition. I know they have a rule that they follow behind the scene, an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
But we don't have anything in our statutes and rules. So basically, I know companies are notifying us and filling out a DA one tablet missing. So again, we don't have, like, if you're missing 3% or 2% of your total amount purchased, then you need to do. We don't have anything of that nature.
Correct. Because 1% of a huge health system can be a 2,000
There could be a lot of pills. Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like 1%, maybe 0.5% should be reported or less than that. So to Dr. Anderson's point, like, I mean, what hospital? I mean, if you have a big hospital system or nursing home, if they give one tablet to a wrong medication to a wrong patient here and there, like in a month, you're gonna end up with the same thing with a lot of missing or misfilling tablets. Are they going to report those? You know what I mean? Like that's a question. I'm not trying to deviate from the standard here, but to me, to hold someone accountable on reporting or retrieving a control medications, I would like to stick to the DEA or to the state rules.
Yeah, I think that we've had some great discussion. And I know you have a motion on the floor. I haven't heard a second yet, but I think we would benefit from some additional commentary from compliance officers between now and the board meeting if we were agreeable to potentially just hearing this as pulling this for the full board next week.
Okay, I agree with that. And I can resend, I move to resend my motion and we table this one for next week.
All right, so we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll hear it next week with the wisdom from our colleagues.
I am recused. I'm gonna turn my camera.
Thank you, Mr. Nassif. 4K, this is complaint number 25-0411. Respondent is Walmart 5725. Ruhi Parsa, pharmacist in charge, and Ruben Montalvo, pharmacy technician. Type of complaint, a complainant received the incorrect medication in her prescription vial. We'll open the floor for discussion.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate one. You know, both the technician missed tablets remaining in a counting tray, and the pharmacist didn't see it either, with 2 tablets being mixed in with the rest of the medication. I don't think the patient took any. There was no harm, correct?
That's
Is
what I
that-
saw.
yeah. Yeah, it's a just a unfortunate error.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I mean, non-disciplinary CE for error prevention for both the PIC and the technician.
I can get behind that and second that. Any further discussion? And dismiss against the permit, correct?
Dismiss against the permit.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Mr. Anderson, Jennifer here again. Sorry to go back, but I just want to clarify for Jay, the case we just discussed. It sounded like the committee members were maybe looking for some compliance officer follow-up. And I just wanted to clarify for the record, if that's the case, what that might be.
Sounds like we want specifics on regulations and rules involved with reporting, who they should be reporting to, timelines. Mr. Thorwald, I knew that was top of mind for you. Any other things that you'd like?
No, if there's been any letters from letters from DEA that address this, or if there's been any legal opinions on this, something that would give us guidance that's more than just our opinion.
I believe
And
that
then
regarding the
maybe
misfilling, reporting misfilling, basically, right? That's the concern.
That's my question is there any guidance from the DEA on this particular type of issue where there's missing, or we know where it is, but it's, you know, what the reason for reporting is in this instance, if this is something the DEA would require to be reported.
That's why I expanded it to include legal opinions by a court.
It's going to be challenging to get that answer. We may be tabling this until next year because they're not swift about getting back to us. We can definitely discuss that matter with them, but it may take a little more time than this meeting.
I can turn my camera on because we are away from item K. I will turn it back off.
Okay.
Go back to the item.
Dr. Cannabon, did you get everything you needed?
I believe so. I'll ask the team if they have any further clarifying questions.
Thank you. All right, moving on to tab 4L. This is complaint number 25-0407. Respondent is Walgreen number 9179. Pharmacist Christina Patton and pharmacist Crystal Lube. Type of complaint: a pharmacy dispensed a misbranded prescription order. We'll open the floor for discussion.
And for me, it seems like, again, it's patient communication. If there was an extension of expiration date.
It wasn't expired, right? It wasn't expired because the Department of
It was
Health.
extended, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
but notifying the patient of that, and that doesn't seem to have occurred.
I would question, would the patient even know that what the expiration date was?
The packaging, the manufacturer's packaging, from what I read, and please, Mr. Hyber, correct me if I'm wrong, showed this 23 date. And it was dispensed in 24, but the emergency use authorization allowed it to be dispensed until October 19th of 24. So it was still valid, but then the disconnect is that the manufacturer's packaging that was visible to the patient alarmed the patient because it was past that date.
Yeah, I'll just add that it looks like the label, if you can look on page 665, this is an image we received from her. It was a little bit clearer image than the one that she initially sent, where you really couldn't tell the lot number. You can see the label to the right. It looks like it's been peeled back. So more than likely, the label might have been partially covering it, and then she peeled it back to look, and then she could see it was based upon the original manufacturer label. It obviously had the original expiration date, but these were all being extended.
Bad communication.
Yeah. And counseling was documented, so that it was provided, so it probably was just not part of the discussion.
Seeing that label, thank you for highlighting that, Mr. Hyber. It makes it look like the pharmacist was attempting to purposely cover it because they knew that it was extended dating, or maybe there just wasn't room on that bottle. I don't know.
I think it's more that it was a smaller bottle and it was something that was covered, and I don't know if we know intent there.
Sure.
No. Yeah.
On the other side of that label could have had, that was over, it could have stated what the new date was too.
And one other thing, go to image on 663. The seal is still on the container, so the patient never opened this bottle and consumed any of the medication. Now, whether she did that because she thought it was expired and didn't believe anything she was told after that, that wasn't part of our discussion when I spoke with her.
So then, is there a true violation here?
I don't see a violation.
Yeah.
Except poor communication.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to dismiss based on no violation.
Second.
All right, we've got a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 4M. This is complaint number 24-0503. Respondent is Jayden Asher Jesperson. Pharmacy technician trainee was convicted of 3 felonies related to dangerous crimes against children and was sentenced to imprisonment for 14 years. We'll open the floor for discussion.
Mrs. Galvin, so knowing that the technician is in the prison, can we move for hearing for this?
So if you just move it to hearing for revocation, for instance, there is no timeline, but given the facts of the case, that would be prioritized. And hopefully we could get that on the agenda for December. If you were to summarily suspend him next week, we would have to have a formal hearing within about 35 days, which is, could be very close to December, or a special meeting in November. The fact that he is in prison, is in custody, isn't going to be released for, several years. It would seem that a referral to formal hearing for revocation would be appropriate, not necessarily a summary suspension.
And I make this my motion
To go to formal
Second.
hearing.
for hearing, for revocation.
Second it.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4N, this is 25-0477. Respondent Walgreen number 9292, pharmacist Kelly Langerak, pharmacy technician Tara Santana, and pharmacy technician trainee Crystal Trinka. A complainant, the patient, alleged that the pharmacy dispensed her prescription with one unknown, differently looking tablet mixed in. And we'll open the floor for discussion.
I'm finding what's concerns me is that, and I shouldn't say concerns me, I can see where medication can be issued from one manufacturer that's in one shape, then they get a new manufacturer and it's a different color or a slightly different shape. Should that be mixed together? How should that work? How should you keep people informed? Is it a mistake, or is it something like that?
Yeah, and my concern here that we don't have evidence, right? So the complainant did not submit any pictures or evidence. Is that right?
That's what I noted. I noted that there's really no evidence that when the compliance officer reached out to the complainant, there was no reply. So it's very difficult to verify.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have a thought on the motion?
Move to dismiss.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a first to dismiss, a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? All right, motion carries. Moving on to 4O. This is complaint number 24-0569, respondent CVS 10742, pharmacist Nathan Benger and pharmacist Christina Bonillas. Type of complaint, pharmacist failed to exercise corresponding responsibility when choosing to fill and dispense multiple controlled substance prescriptions. Well, for discussion.
That's a big one, right?
It
to
is.
me.
It's
Yeah.
huge. I don't think we can handle this in a complaint review.
I don't think so.
I agree.
Do you want to send it to full board, or do you want to recommend a conference from here? What are you guys thinking?
I mean, I believe that board did a very good job with interviewing all involved people. I don't think at this time a conference will help unless next week the whole board member decide to. But I agree with you to table this one for next week.
I agree.
Agree.
All right, sounds like we're, so we have a motion by Mr. Nassif to table till next week, second by Ms. Spark. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to tab 4P. This is complaint 25-0503. Respondent Walmart 5429. Pharmacist in charge Preston Joel Fulton and pharmacy technician Ida Lucille Wilkins. A complainant, the patient, stated that the pharmacy dispensed her prescription with one unknown different looking tablet.
I believe from what I read, so the wrong tablets came from the previous fill, right? And the technician did not clean the tray. The pharmacist looked into the vial. They all seemed like accurate. Did not notice the wrong tablet inside the vial. So
Very similar to the last or previous.
Correct,
Yeah.
with the amiodarone.
Case. Yeah.
Ms. Galvin, can you recall what did we do on that one?
I am looking. Was that a non-disciplinary CE and error prevention to the pick and the tack? Motion to dismiss the permit.
Ms. Spark, are you thinking similar for this case?
I'm thinking similar for this case.
All right. Any other discussion? Ms. Spark, do you want to make a motion?
I will make that my motion.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 4Q, this is complaint number 25-0378. Respondent is Peter B. Moreno. Type of complaint, pharmacy technician failed to comply with continuing education requirements. We'll open the floor for discussion.
So I believe we had a similar case that the respondent not responding to our board staff, correct?
That's what I read.
Yeah. I'm thinking give him till the end of the month. He has until October 31st to pay, and if he doesn't, then we refer this to hearing.
Yeah.
I think we've done enough to get him into compliance, and he needs to pay his fees, and if he wants to keep his license.
Board members, if I may.
Would we
This
want to
is-
put some? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. This is Jenica Brown. I just wanted to clarify that the matter before you is for a consent agreement. So this is for discipline. He has not signed the agreement. So we would need him to sign the agreement before he could pay and follow all of the requirements in the agreement. So I believe just for the sake of the record, Mr. Anderson, would it be that you would give him until the end of the month to sign the agreement?
Sign and pay. He's had plenty of time to,
Okay,
so
thank you for the clarification.
that would be,
Would
unless there's
we,
further discussion, go ahead, Mr. Thorwald.
could that motion and go ahead and include that if he doesn't pay that we move to for the December meeting?
Yeah. I'll make that my motion. So we will, my motion would be to allow for signing and payment of consent agreement by October 31st. If not signed or paid by that date, refer to hearing. And that's my
I
motion.
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Right, motion carries. Moving on to tab 4R. This is complaint number 25-0446. Respondent is Sienna Torres, technician, and the licensee reported that she was convicted of a Class C felony offense. The licensee also failed to report misdemeanor charges within 10 working days. We'll open the floor for discussion.
I mean, so is failing to report, there is, we have fine for that, right? It is $250 for failing to report. But the type of felony here to me is concerning.
I totally agree. I think a felony conviction, for being paid to transport undocumented individuals, it really kind of demonstrates a willingness to profit from a legal activity and conduct analogous in our profession to profiting from stealing drugs. And I think it clearly warrants discipline. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
So to me, I mean, I would like to hear from this licensee, and I would like to go conference to hear from her. So, and I'll make this my motion unless somebody else like move for conference.
What could we hear from her in a conference that we don't already know?
I just like to see, like have like more details maybe, or like what's happening, and other board members can be involved with this discussion. To me, it's like severe enough to put a discipline action on her license.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last statement.
I mean, to me, it's severe enough to put discipline on her license.
Agree.
I agree.
But I don't know if we're gonna do it with or without conference. That's the question. Do we need to?
You could move it to formal hearing or offer her a consent agreement for suspension or revocation.
Okay.
I think the formal hearing would be better.
All right, so we've got some differing opinions. Mr. Nassif is thinking conference. Mr. Thorwall is wanting to go directly to hearing.
Yeah, I did not make any motion yet. I was just thinking.
Sure.
So.
Because at a formal hearing, we can hear from her anyway and make a decision, so.
Okay. I will second that, Mr. Thorwall, if that's your motion.
I'll make that my motion. We go to formal hearing.
And is that for a recommendation of revocation?
Yes.
And would you entertain accepting a voluntary surrender should she be willing to sign one?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to 4S. This is complaint number 25-0396. Respondent is Lilia E. Aceves Sandoval, technician. Complainant alleged that the pharmacy technician stated that she often brings birth control into the United States from Mexico to give to friends, and that she was apprehended by Border Control on one occasion where medication obtained from Mexico was confiscated. We'll open the floor for discussion.
I mean, to me, there's two separate issues here. I mean, buying medication from overseas and bring it to state, my perspective, she's not using her license to do that. And she didn't sell them in the pharmacy, as far as I know from the notes here and reading. I don't know if she give it to, like, how many personal use for her close friend. I don't know. I'm not encouraging this. I'm not okay with that, but I don't think this goes under Board of Pharmacy regulations. It is federal customs, I believe so, and DEA matter. and border control matter, and then they did not arrest her, didn't do any of this, just they compensate the meds. So now my concern is not responding to our staff. This is my concern here.
I would agree with you, Tariq.
Yeah.
Or I do agree with you.
So, Ms. Brown, I noticed you didn't, you did not indicate on your summary any possible violations.
That is correct. As she did not respond to us, all we really have are the allegations. We don't have her response. We don't have any other information to corroborate the allegations at this time.
The only thing that really bothers me is her lack of response.
Correct.
I agree.
You could issue a subpoena to her to appear at a conference.
I will make that my motion.
And I will second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And I think we've hit everything on the consent agenda for tab 4 complaints. Anything else before I close this meeting?
I don't want to make this meeting any longer, but just maybe a word of caution going forward. I understand, Mr. Al-Nassif, your statement about the one case that she didn't use her license, it wasn't part of a pharmacy. That could be said about a lot of conduct that the board seeks discipline. It could be the woman who pleaded guilty or was found guilty of smuggling immigrants. She didn't use her license for that, but it's still conduct that the board finds to be unprofessional and worthy of discipline. So just a little bit of word of caution.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad you brought this. Maybe I misspoken. The reason I said that because the public cannot see what we see here. It's the comments on the complaint says she used her pharmacy knowledge to sell this medications, and that's why I comment this.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Any licensee having misconduct or unprofessional conduct, that will be a matter of border pharmacy. I agree 100%.
Okay,
but I just was commenting on the complaint that it says she was using her pharmacy knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Galvin. Thank you, Mr. Nassif. And we will go ahead and adjourn, and we'll see everybody next week. Thank you.
Thank you.